Hello, this is Stacy, and I have a couple of minutes before my kiddos get home, and I thought I would quickly show you how I edit a photo. This is the photo that I used for my August How I View post. This is the before, and here is the after. So we've got before and after. So there are a couple of adjustments that you can probably see. The main thing is I got the stuff out of the yard, and I think that is the biggest impact that I made to this photograph. And I'm going to show you how easy it is. I edit my photographs in Lightroom. I almost always use Lightroom for all of my photographs, and I'm a very, just so you know, carefree. I don't like to spend a lot of time editing my photographs. So I'm going to show you my step-by-step. Of course, I say that because there are probably a lot more things that you could do to this photograph. I just get it to the level that I enjoy, and I'm really happy with it for my photo books. So I'm going to start here, and the first thing I'm going to do is crop the photograph. One of the things I like to do is follow the rule of thirds if it works for the image, and this is a great image for that. What you can see, I'm going to pull it down, and I can get him, see his head is right at the intersection of these two lines. So he's kind of within this third of the photograph, and I also have the water hose kind of right in the middle of the photograph, but here we are right also at the kind of horizontal third this way. So I think this is a really nice crop. This is a 4x6. Obviously it is going to be a little different if you were to size to a 5x7 or an 8x10. But let's start with just your typical 4x6. With my camera, I know it shoots cool, so very often do I come in and warm up my photographs through my temperature slider. You can see that I already warmed it up a bit. Got his, just so for those of you who may not be familiar, got his skin tone from more of a bluish white to just, it has a warmth to it. It's adding yellow back into the image. It didn't really mess with the tint too much. I did bring down my exposure just a tad, and I have just a little recovery. You can see I have, here's my blown out highlights, so this is just going to bring it back just a little. I don't have too much here. I'm going to have some fill light. This is filling in the light into the shadows of the photograph. Leave my blacks alone here. For this image, I wanted to bring down the brightness just a touch and increase my contrast. I'm looking here for an image that really pops, and so I did adjust the clarity as well, and this is going to give a pretty crisp image. Typically I do not adjust my clarity this high, just so you know, but for this image it really seemed to work. And vibrance just a touch. Typically with the tone curves, I'll increase the midtones, I'll pull the lights up just a tad, add some depth to my shadows. Here I really didn't play too much with the tone curve. Some images I really utilize this a lot, but not for this one. My hue, the main thing I wanted to do here is just adjust the grass. I'm looking for it to not be so bright yellow, but to bring some richness back to it. So I did adjust the hue and aqua, and for saturation, oops, I did a 13 here and a 31. But these are sliders that you can continually play with to kind of suit your needs for the photographs, and it really does, all of these sliders really do depend on the photo and how it's shot. Okay, so my last, or not my last thing, the next thing I want to do is clone out these objects in the grass. And I use a clone tool. You could do this in Photoshop, and I believe Photoshop Elements, Adobe Elements as well. I'm just going to pick an area, and then it's going to pull a corresponding area of the grass. And I can size it to fit the object in the yard. And this one is tricky because it is such a large image. And then the last step here is just to get these little leaves in the yard, and these will just be quick. Now, as you can see, I'm doing this very quickly because to be honest, I just don't have the patience for you know, really thoughtful editing. It's not that critical for me. So there. Sorry, one more. Just gonna get this guy here. All right, so that is that. I'm okay with this. Again, it's not perfect. This one really did not work out well. But I think that's acceptable for me. The final thing I'm going to do is just to add just a touch of vignetting, and this is darkening the edges ever so slightly. You can see I kind of pulled some black around the edges, but then I feathered it back out here so that it's very, very slight. Now, to me, I think this is great. I'm going to go ahead and export it for print, and you can see I did that how I view summer. It is a JPEG. I made the short edge 10 inches, so this could be a full bleed. It can be a pretty large image in a photo book. Resolution's 300, and it is sharpened for the matte paper. And I'm going to hit export, and there it goes. I can do overwrite. Now, as I mentioned before, I do my edits in Lightroom. Photoshop has all of these that you can use through adjustment layers. And if you're familiar with Photoshop, all of my adjustments probably made sense to you. I did just want to point out that there are ways to edit in iPhoto. So just play around with these. You can crop, you can lighten here and add contrast, warmer and cooler. But under this adjust category, you'll see that they have the temperature and tint sliders just like over here. So play around with these to warm your image up, or if your image is really yellow and too warm, you can cool it back down using this slider, just adding more blue into your photograph. You can see what it does to the image just by adjusting it ever so slightly. It does have the exposure slider and contrast, some saturation. So just because you don't have an Adobe product doesn't mean that you can't edit. There are also some programs online. If there's something that you use and want me to test it out for an image, send me an email, and I will definitely look into that for you. But I did want to take you behind the scenes of how I edit a photograph for my photo book. I really hope this was helpful for you, and if you liked it, please make sure you share it with a friend and sign up for my newsletter. Great tips I like to send out every Thursday. All right, I got everything done before my kids are home. Yay!